Love podcasts, hate nonsense. It's the PoliticsJOE podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, smattering polite applause.
Respectful applause, please. Respectful applause. Ed Campbell,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm doing excellently, thank you. How are you?
Great.
Perfect. Brilliant.
Yes, tip top, tickety boo. And we're joined by Olga Koch? How do I
Yeah,
pronounce
that's
your
pretty
surname?
good.
Yeah?
That's pretty good. Yeah. There's no
Banging.
wrong answers. Koch is the correct one, but you can say whatever
we
you
can't
want.
make that sound.
You should have a go at that.
Cool.
All right.
Was that good?
That's a sound.
Sure.
You gave it a go. Comedian, entertainer, rock star,
I'll take it.
banging,
Podcaster.
podcaster.
Right.
Currently.
Current podcaster. Right now.
In real
podcaster.
time. Yeah,
In
yeah,
real
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Nice. How was everyone's weekend?
Weekend was busy. We had three birthday drinks events in
Mr.
24
Popular.
hours.
You're so cool, man.
And then on Sunday, I felt awful. Feel awful now, actually.
What was your hangover ritual?
So I didn't actually feel hungover at all yesterday, brag. But today...
Because you were still drunk.
I'm still battered on Monday morning.
I feel today like I might jump off a bridge at any point. It's like one of those.
What?
Yeah. You know I said...
No, can you...
Keep it light, Ed.
Yeah, fucking...
Sorry, you know
Da-da-da-da-da.
you know when I stopped drinking as much?
Yeah.
This is why. And I'm like, I should probably drink less again.
So wait, so it's not hangover,
No, it's like a depressant.
right?
It's like
So it's like a come down.
yeah, basically, but for booze, which is
Yeah.
just booze. No, just booze. Just too many pints. Too many pints, which is for the simple crime of 10 or 11 beers. Now I might jump off a building.
All in one go.
Probably the course of a day on Saturday.
Legend.
Yeah, it was pretty tight.
You're sick.
Yeah, no, I
Very
know.
cool.
I love that. Olga?
Me?
Yeah.
My weekend?
Yeah.
I went to Edinburgh, spent it in Scotland, had a lovely time.
Yeah.
Had a
Gigging?
lovely time
Just hanging out?
gigging. 8, 9 gigs in total? Too many gigs,
That's insane.
arguably.
In
That's
3
work
days.
ethic, isn't it?
Oof. Look, I like nice things. And I want my San Pellegrino in a glass bottle.
Mm.
And that costs you, buddy.
It does. It adds up. It adds up.
Yeah,
Preacher to the converted on that one.
that's me. Tap
Can I
water in a
tell you
glass.
something that's pertaining what we were discussing before we started recording about getting canceled and stuff?
Yes.
Because I need to get this off my chest because I know that it calms me down. When I used to work for the video platform that radicalizes teenagers, one of the
Well, we are publishing this one.
one of the things that people like creators would get upset about would be negative comments. But you always need to remember that out of, let's say you have 1,000 subscribers and you can scale that to however many you have, you'll have max proportionately 10 comments, right? So, and the people who leave comments, that's not your average viewer. That's just a crazy person. So we look at a comment as a representation of a silent majority when in reality, it's just the fringe groups that comment.
Yeah, they're the outliers, but I always think that. Obviously, I really.
When was
enjoy-
the last time you commented in earnest yourself on something you liked? Never. You sent it to your friend.
Yeah, I was
You
gonna-
like it, but you don't comment on it.
No, I think it's interesting. It's an interesting thing. Obviously, I love all the PoliticsJOE's audience's contributions, thoughtful contributions on our videos.
You're different. You're not like everybody else.
I know.
Yep.
Smarter, sexier,
More
better in
eloquent.
bed.
There's a good profile to be done, isn't there, on the people that like comment on Facebook content?
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But no, you're right. It's a self-selecting feedback, isn't it? Because, well, first of all, I think there's something very unique about our current age and current moment, which is I think is a product of social media, which is maybe it isn't. But there's basically this yearning for adoration from strangers, right? This validation and vindication of, I don't know, let's say you want to be an influencer and you want to have 10,000 likes on every single thing you post on Instagram. Is it necessarily that healthy to want the adoration of 10,000 people that you
No.
don't know, respect, or know anything about? Like, what does that speak to about us on an individual level? I think that's the first thing to say. And the second thing to say as well, you're right, absolutely right about comments / tweets, is that it's a self-selecting forum of feedback, right? If you don't like something, how do you express your discontent with it? Usually by writing something about it, rather than, there isn't really like a mechanism for expressing that, unless you're on YouTube when it's a downvote, but you're probably more inclined to comment it, I guess.
I think it's interesting, Will, because Olga, you get that immediate interaction from strangers you love and respect immediately when
they
you're
boo
gigging.
me.
yeah.
When they
When-
throw rotten tomatoes at me. Yes.
I wonder if is that a similar. Do you think that's a similar brain chemistry, being like to an influencer, casting out to a faceless audience of potentially millions and millions and millions. You are putting, God, this might sound awful, but being like projecting your self or self-worth onto an audience of however many people that's in the room with you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think is that a healthy thing to do?
Oh God, no. There's not one healthy thing about it. No, it's terrible. It's like it's a blessing and a curse in comedy that the response is built in. Like you know you're doing well if someone's laughing, which
In real time.
In real time. So it's like I guess you know you're doing well or you're not doing well, but also that's the sort of maddening. The binary of it is also kind of maddening too.
When was the last time you bombed?
Oh my God, yesterday?
Yeah. How was it?
Rough,
'Cause
but
it's-
you get over it really quick.
Because that's what I think about this, and like you saying you get over it quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I could get over it quickly.
Well, it's hard at first, and then you
Yeah.
just get used to it. You kind of like atrophy to it.
Because I think it ties into that. The thing I was saying about strangers, right? Is like, yeah, okay. In theory, everyone wants to be able to say, "Oh, I'm tough, I'm hard." It doesn't matter if no one laughed when I was trying to make them laugh. But I actually think that would bother me. I think if I tried to make them laugh and they didn't, it would upset me, and maybe it shouldn't.
Well, I think in order to keep doing comedy, and I'm sorry to talk shop right off the bat, you have to be on this doing a constant balancing act of delusion. So even if you're bombing, you think you're good enough to keep going. But also self-awareness in order to know that you need to improve and better your jokes. Because if you truly don't care about what other people think, you're never going to get good because you're never going to improve. But if you care too much...
You're all fucking idiots. You don't get me.
Read a fucking book!
My book, I've written. No one's bought it.
E-reader PDF, self-published.
Yeah.
But I guess if you let it affect you too much, you'll never try again. So you're constantly balancing the two.
Is that the move then to like post through the pain almost? Like if you're bombing, you
The
just
Ed Campbell story.
yeah, the Ed Campbell approach.
Stick through the pain.
Crying.
As he's suicidal on a Monday.
Yeah. Guess I'll go to Bridgend and do a vox pop or something. That'll make me feel better.
It's better do well.
Sir, would you die for your country? I'd love to.
Me having a word off camera with the person being like, your contributions are just not good enough. This is mediocre at best. It's not my fault. It's a brilliant idea.
Always.
Also, when you say like people want adoration, do you, given the churn of cancellations that like just happens naturally, don't you become suspicious whenever anyone gets like too adored? To me,
Ooh, yeah.
whenever there's a headline, it's like, we can't get enough of blank. I'm like, it's a countdown clock until we absolutely hate them and want them to die.
Like Matt Rife at the stratospheric.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, kind of happened to Jennifer Lawrence as well. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many
Yeah.
people who are like, the second we like them too much, to me, that's a red flag.
but then equally are then people looking for a reason to stop.
Oh,
liking
yeah,
them
yeah.
as
It's
well.
like they're getting too big for their boots. We need to
Pull
take
the
them
rug
down a
underneath
notch.
them.
Yeah, I think there's two things happening there. One of which I think is like the cyclical nature of tabloid journalism, which is that essentially, you build people up, maybe not deliberately with the intention of being able to tear them down,
Yeah.
but it's awful convenient that everyone now knows who they are after you've relentlessly plastered photos of them in their swimwear all over your website.
And then
for
your
2
finger
years.
hovers over the nonce button.
Yeah, there you go. Fucking do the hard drives today, boys. Check them.
I think this 18-year-old's a paedophile. What?
There is a bit of that, and I also there's like the horseplay, isn't there, between like the actual stars themselves and the media, which is quite often sort of these showbiz journalists will go to these people and say, "Oh, we know about your affair, so you either give us something, and we won't tell that story, or you don't, and we will," and you end up in that sort of like. It's basically a trap, but you end up either feeding them stories and providing them with access to these people who are blackmailing you, or you don't, and then you get cancelled. And there's kind of those two things sort of go forward and reverse and forward and reverse over and over and over again. I think I was talking to someone about this recently, actually, about cancellation, and she was suggesting that you basically only get cancelled if you lose your job. She was like, within journalism, right? You can keep writing whatever the fuck you want to write for the Telegraph, And you, like, Twitter and Instagram could be going ballistic and being like, Ed Campbell's a racist piece of shit. I hate this guy. And as long as the Telegraph keep paying you, you're basically fine.
Right.
And the calculation has to be, will I lose my employment as a result of doing this thing? That's the only risk. So I don't know. If you were to come on the pod, or in fact, no, Olga's a good example. If Olga comes on the pod today and is like, actually, being a landlord, fantastic. Everyone listening to PoliticsJOE, become a landlord. We support landlordism. Everyone would, not necessarily sure if that works. Whereas if you only ever if you never push the boat out far enough to lose your employment, the rest of it is basically noise.
But are we just rebranding fireable offenses as quote-unquote cancellation?
Yes, possibly, yeah.
Because it's like...
It's an HR issue more than anything.
Yeah, pre the word cancellation, people still got fired for doing bad things.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
No, for sure. And there's also, I think there's also like an element of the sort of, the free speech absolutists, shall we say, who are like, you can't say anything anymore. It's like, no, you can say it, but that doesn't mean you can say it and there aren't any consequences. Do you know what I mean? It's like, free speech, yes, but also freedom of everyone else to think you're a prick for saying the thing that you said. So I think the two go hand in hand.
Do you come across these guys in your work, the free speech absolutists?
Not really, no. I don't know what context that would come
People being like, or intentionally incredibly offensive comedians, or do they are they on the circuit?
Yes, I think there's a lot of there'll be people in comments who are willfully misconstrue stuff, which seems so transparent to me, and that feels like, oh, that's such bad faith that I won't even engage with it. Not that I would engage with anybody in the comments, but like, oh, you're different. You're.
Dear listener, that was for you. That was
Yeah, that was good.
You're Olga's special favourite. We've
Insert name here.
We've all got one, and it's you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the thing, right? With if you take any joke, I'm sure, and you took it from the stage outside of that room, and you just repeat it very slowly and very deliberately. I don't know, wherever this conversation is taking place, on Sky News, let's say, or wherever, you rob it already of all of its context and all of its setup and the nature of what. So, I'm trying to think of like, you watch Ricky Gervais, did you watch Armageddon? Did you see his most recent special? There's a joke in that relies on a very hackneyed stereotype about Chinese people, and he says it in the room, and they all find it fucking hilarious. But if I was to repeat it to you now, and I won't, but you would just be like, well, that's quite horrible.
It doesn't sound any better in context.
No.
No. If you had the context of the stereotype, if you had the guys,
This is a storied, historic stereotype.
Yeah. But I wonder if there's like that like willful misconstruing, the sort of people like deliberately and intentionally misinterpreting something because it allows them, either in the instance of like Ricky Gervais, I'm not, by the way, I'm not saying he's a fucking comedic genius, I don't think he is, but that you essentially, there's all kinds of people out there who are waiting and ready to misinterpret anything you say for their own means or just because they don't like you.
It allows a sense of superiority, an easy win for the day to be like, I had the moral high ground for a second there. I also think, I'm not sure, this is the first time I'm articulating it, so I'm definitely going to butcher it. But there's this feeling that when you see someone get attention, but it's not a person that you know, so it's not someone that you perceive as a celebrity, some people have a response of like, I need to who do they think they are? Who do they think they are holding a microphone? Who do they think they are getting... Look, people at Campbell. But it's like, who the fuck does this little guy think he is?
That's exactly what people who don't like it say.
This wee man.
Oh, this wee specky man with a microphone.
I would never say that.
No, you just say it on your alt account.
Yeah,
You've
on my
got
burner.
your multiple sock
Yeah,
puppets.
I put on like a Welsh accent and I make these like hour-long videos on YouTube. When I can't actually.
So that's why you expense the dialect coach.
We'll leave that one there, I think. There's a reason I've been ripping fat vapes on this pod. Normally, I can control.
Because you're addicted to nicotine.
Well, interestingly, not anymore.
I just like it.
No, I picked a fucking bad day for it, to be fair. But I've gone to zero nicotine on the vape.
Ooh.
So is it just flavor?
Yeah.
It's just vibes.
It's just like popcorn lung. It's not doing anything for me on like a stimulant. No, I think I've tried to quit multiple times and failed. But I think the way to quit is you basically ramp down. You just like keep tweaking down the amount of nicotine until there's no nicotine in it.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're going cold turkey on the nicotine, but you still have the crutch of like the habit of holding the thing in your hand and fucking toking away on that bad boy. And then once you're then off the chemical side of it, you then break the habit of holding it, if that makes sense. So you're like taking it in turn.
So you're replacing it with a pen or like just holding something else?
Maybe I will do that.
What's the next step? A Pez container?
A pipe. A Pez container.
That would be sus.
A quill.
I think
Walking around the Pez container.
grown men with Pez containers. Yeah.
Do they still make Pez? I've not seen it in a little while.
I don't know. I'm going to reject that tangent and just start talking about the vape story. If you
I
don't
bet
mind.
if we looked up some Pez dispensers on eBay, we'd find some real spicy stuff.
I was at a rave once and
Oh, okay.
yeah, I had more than 10 pints. Let me tell you that, Ed Campbell. And there was a guy who had his pingers in a Pez dispenser.
That's quite.
Okay, that's sick.
That's quite sick. We're back
That's
on board.
fucking
Yeah, right, fine,
sick.
okay. Oh yeah, everyone's okay with it now.
That's very dignified.
That's so sick.
Let me see.
With like a Bart Simpson on top.
Yeah.
I think it was Jerry. I think it was like Tom and Jerry. I think it was.
Good stuff.
Oh, that's a classic.
I think it was a classic. Let me see how much a Pez dispenser goes for these days. This is good audio, isn't it?
But I want limited edition. I want.
You want limited edition?
Yeah.
Mr. Bean unopened Pez dispenser, 2005.
That's sick.
What do you want? How much are you paying for that? First of all,
I reckon-
Bargain. Bargain.
£50.
you paying £50 for that, my man?
£50.
I'm guessing. I'm Price is Righting it. What is the?
Okay, so
Ladies, you go back to his, and he's got the limited edition Mr. Bean Pez dispenser. What are you doing?
their clothes fall off. Let me tell you.
You click it.
Okay, so the going rate is $1.95 for a
much.
non-limited. No, £1.95 for a
Okay.
£195,000 for a non-limited edition standard Pez dispenser. It's $1.95.
Yeah.
How much do they want for the Mr. Bean unopened 2005? I'll even pull up an image for you. That's
This is almost 20 years old.
what it looks like.
That's gorgeous. Oh, I like that the tie
She's
is part of the
beauty.
dispenser.
She
Oh,
is
it's beautiful.
Grace.
That's good. That's good.
It's quite harrowing. As a piece of art, I'll be honest. I don't love it.
It is a bit distressing. Anyway, how much you paying? Oh,
Uh,
it's got Pez in the bottom as well. It's got
Is
20-year-old
it also
Pez.
Okay, it comes locked and loaded. No need to buy ammunition separately.
It's only £20.
That is, I'll tell you what,
A steal.
You
expensive.
had to get that easy.
Let me set.
Unopened.
Unopened.
You had me at unopened.
It's like a Beanie Baby. Do you remember everyone was like, Beanie
Yeah,
Baby
yeah,
is going to
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah.
retain their value or increase in value so much.
Sorry. General Griefer Star Wars Pez dispenser, £1,179.
That's sick. Let's see if it looks cool.
I don't understand
Yeah,
why that's so expensive.
that's because it's Star Wars rather than Mr. Bean, and they like
Yeah.
the following him around
Yeah,
Star
that's
Wars.
elegant.
It's so much more lucrative than Mr. Bean.
Zorro 1965, $1,200.
Did they
That
ever
seems-
get creative with the column itself, or was that always just true to form?
They all look
Okay. So they're never like, there's not vine around it or anything.
straight.
crazy
They
like
look
that.
straight and true. Can we talk about the vape ban?
Sorry.
That's what I'm trying to
They
do.
should ban Pez's now.
Wouldn't fucking put it past him. Okay, do you want to do the setup? Shall I do the setup?
Yeah, so I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Rishi Sunak announced to Lad Bible.
Why do we fucking do this? Honestly.
Actually,
There's a gif of you from an episode in the past where you do a very good, I'll fucking do it! I'm
insert
this
that-
close.
Insert that now.
Yeah, drop that clip in it.
And in fairness, Lad Bible don't antagonise the government.
I think that may have had something to do with it.
That's probably it. They are going to ban disposable vapes, flavoured vapes, elf bars, etc. in a bid to curb the epidemic of teenagers vaping, ripping fat clouds like that. And
You can take this from my cold, dead hands, Prime Minister. I fucking swear to you.
they're also going to do that, increase the age at which you can buy cigarettes every year until it becomes farcical. Which, like, you're a 67-year-old person and you still cannot buy a cigarette.
I think it's after 2008, isn't it?
If you're a child now, you'll never be able to legally buy cigarettes, essentially. So it seems...
That is so bizarre.
So smoky in here now.
I know it's atmosphere. A great visual.
You just can't see us. So glad we got the cameras on for this.
We're going Rogan mode. Hell yeah.
Hell on SNL.
Fucking love you, Elon. So what? So 2008, you're like, so there's a world in the future where like a 35-year-old is begging their 36-year-old mate to buy them like a 20-pack.
Yeah.
Oh, now that would be a silly little skit.
I just...
What do you think? You seem aggrieved. But it doesn't
Yeah,
affect
I'm
you.
fucking aggrieved.
You're an adult, and
No,
that's not
okay.
disposable vape. That's not affected.
You're right, it's not disposable. It is a pod-based...
Are you flavoring that with liquid? Vape liquid?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got my e-liquid here as well, actually.
He's come locked and loaded for this discussion.
I'm always
Pass it
fucking,
round.
I'm
Show
always
and tell.
fucking loaded up. Heisenberg.
No, it's not called Heisenberg.
It is.
That is lame, I'm
Get it?
afraid.
It's like crystal meth.
You're like a Discord mod with your Heisenberg vape. It's no Breaking Bad.
It's one of the UK's favourite flavours, my guy. Award-winning.
Vampire vape. Heisenberg
Oh my God,
flavor.
can we go to the Vape Flavor Awards? Red carpet hosting?
That actually sounds like a good...
Something that's up my street.
That sounds
Yeah.
prime Ed Campbell. We sent him to the Porn Awards once.
I mean, I am aware of this. Why do you think I'm here? But I want to know, is it a blind taste test?
I don't know.
They get two 13-year-olds.
They see who starts jonesing first.
They go to a white blank studio, and there's two newborn babies. Actually, not newborn. They can crawl, and they put flavors of vapes at the other end, and whichever the baby sucks down first, that's the one they market to teenagers.
Yeah, look, I think is vaping good for you?
No.
No, clearly it's not
Obviously
good
not.
for you. It's not good for your lungs,
Mhm.
and it's certainly not good for whether or not other people think you're cool. Okay, because people think I'm a fucking loser when I pull this bad boy out, right?
You look like a professional gamer.
You used to have.
That's actually not a bad thing, I think, in my mind. I'd very happily
You
be.
used to have that unit.
I did have a box.
It was like a.
I had a box model, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
no. Like
Yeah.
a modem.
Yeah, yeah, dial up. Yeah, I used to have that.
made noises beyond it. But you're arguing that vaping is good for you.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's less bad for you than smoking.
Mm-hmm.
But just to be deadly serious about it, and I know that I look like a ginormous twat with this in my hand, and that if I had like a fucking leather jacket on, like James Dean, I mean, I still wouldn't look cool, but I would look cooler than that,
Yeah.
right? At least smoking has that going for it, you know. You get a pack of Mally Reds, you stick them in your fucking t-shirt, you roll up the sleeve, all that shit. You're on a motorbike, I don't know, whatever the kids are into these days.
The epidemic of greasers.
Comb in their fucking hair. Hey, I'm walking here. starting a cappella bands over burning oil cans.
Demanding segregation.
Yeah, but it doesn't give you cancer like those tobacco ones do.
I would never be caught on camera or tape defending anything Rishi Sunak does. My only question is, what about the landfill that all the plastic and all the sort of disposable... Is that bad? Is that a stupid
definitely.
question?
Yeah.
No, definitely bad. And the other thing as
It's
well.
surely not... It's worse than cigarettes. Because you're throwing away
Yeah.
cell phones, essentially.
Yeah. Because the batteries contain they're lithium-ion batteries, which is the same rare earth metal which is in like the batteries that power our smartphones, and there's a very limited amount of that.
Yeah.
So it's
It's like a burner phone approach to cigarettes.
Yeah. I think genuinely in like 10, 20, 30 years time when gigawatt batteries and large parts of our society are powered by these things, they will find the idea that we all just like every 24 hours would throw a little bit of lithium like into the bin. Like, what the fuck were you doing? It'll be like the guy who's desperately trying to find his Bitcoin hard drive.
Oh,
It's like
God,
in
yeah.
landfill, because it would be worth
Coming through.
tens of thousands of pounds now.
I think actually it is good to stop teenagers from vaping if they're not so.
Please.
The argument is so from the pro-smoking lobby such as yourself, they
Fucking
are they, so they're
British American tobacco over
Sorry,
there.
the non-virgins? Yeah.
so the argument is that vaping is you can wean yourself off cigarettes easier if you can have a vape, and the thing is they're not getting rid of all vapes. Like this thing is going to be fine, but it's the disposable vapes they're getting rid of because they are incredibly they're marketed not directly towards teenagers, but children like them because they're fucking cotton candy flavored, and they're flavors that no adult should be consuming in vapor form. And
Ed Campbell will not rest until we're all vaping roast chicken. Not enjoying your cabbage vape, Oliver?
is that a butternut squash risotto flavor I see? but the thing is, teenagers aren't going from smoking to vaping. They're just going straight in at vaping.
Yeah.
And we still don't. It's such a new technology. We don't really know what it does to your body. And I think
We know what cancer. We know what cigarettes do to your body. And
yes, but we don't know what vaping does.
Yeah.
So why are we letting it? Why are we letting the children be a laboratory
Okay. So
for chemicals made by big tobacco?
So. Just to enter, to avoid the like outrage factory that exists around like teenagers smoking, I will just say from the outset, yes, teenagers should not vape. They are meant to be over 18 when they buy these things. Now, what do I actually seriously think about this? I would rather that they were vaping than smoking if they're 15, 16 years.
Commit to it.
Commit to the bit.
Lean in.
But nonetheless, whatever. Like, let's just play by the rules. Be legal about it. They're not meant to have these things anyway. So I don't think the answer is to ban the entire product and stop adults from also using it. The answer to that is to fucking try and impose some actual trading standards on the corner shops that sell them and stop them from selling them to people that are under 18. That's how I think you fix that problem. They've also done studies on this in the States, and they found that when they banned electronic nicotine devices, tobacco smoking rates increase in younger demographics. So I think if the choice is, do we want them to be smoking tobacco or vaping, I would actually rather that they were vaping.
I would say neither. I think neither you can go for.
Yeah, I think is it a because I think what Ed is trying to say is that they were not smoking anything before,
Yeah.
and then they started vaping.
Yeah, but
like primary school children aren't smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, and that was never happening.
Were you smoking a cigarette as a primary school child?
Okay, just legends like you.
No, no, sorry. I am pretty fucking punk rock.
Ollie sitting
But
down
no.
with a cigar after a long day. But I think like it's a
Chewing a fucking sunflower seed.
that's the issue is that it's people who would never have smoked a cigarette are now going on.
Yeah,
to
it's not
vape.
cigarettes
more,
or vaping. It's nothing
like,
or vaping.
I don't know if there was an incredibly delicious beer that was like.
You had about 10 or 11 at the weekend, didn't you, my guy?
Tell you what.
What were you supping on?
I don't know. Depression juice.
Carling.
Carling. But if there's something like, I don't know, or if there was flavoured cocaine.
Now,
that was,
there's an idea.
The thing is, I'm glad the thing that Ed's pointed out is that the cocaine was not Moorish in any way, shape, or form before it was flavoured.
it wasn't marketed to children.
No addictive
it wasn't,
qualities
no,
whatsoever.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
Oh
it's
my
not,
god, bubblegum! I'll take more of this now.
No, it's I will take it. That's what it is. It's less of an entry.
Cut that up. Cut that up.
It's less of a barrier of entry
Have you
to
considered-
taking those substances.
Have you considered that one way to combat your depression from the weekend may be a stimulant?
That's why I think I'm still here. It was only the industrial quantities of cocaine that got me up this morning.
Strawberry cocaine.
Strawberry cocaine.
How do you make that?
You just buy lots of yogurt.
You had that locked and loaded.
Oh no, that's why I'm also tired.
He's not lying.
I
This is genuine.
was up cutting my cocaine with yogurt dust. Well, vaping. I think Ava would be here, and Ava would be incredibly anti this. So I feel we should give more platform to that idea in her.
I'm very intrigued by the fact that you that like a few years ago, buying a cell phone you could smoke was not an option, and now not buying it feels like an infringement on your freedom.
First of all, everything is an infringement on my freedom, right? The chains of society burn my skin. I yearn for the wilderness. No, okay. I can tell you a story, actually.
Please.
When I was at uni, that's all this is. when I was at uni, I almost dropped all of my student loan wholesale, buying 500 vapes from China to ship to the UK and sell. Basically, become like a vape shop.
There's not enough of those around.
No. I want to emphasise, no one was vaping at this moment in time. This would have been 2012.
Oh yeah.
There was not a vape shop on the high street, and I got my hands on one of these puppies, and I was like, "Hot damn, that is going to be. These are going to sell like hotcakes, sir."
5-year-olds, come here. Run along, man.
So the plan was to go
This
to the
is your
local.
cousin Marvin Marlborough.
So the plan was to buy 500 vapes, go to the nearest primary school, and start selling. No,
I was employed as a dinner lady.
but no one was selling them, and we at that point the only ones we tried were two. My colleague at McDonald's had a huge, like, fucking dildo shaped one. It's the only way. It was like this big, and he walked around with it like this. It was like a hooker pipe. You know? Like, he had the thing on the end. He'd walk around, almost like you could hear it bubbling almost. Or they were the ones that looked like cigarettes and like had the light on the end.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously were fucking naff and terrible. So we were like, there must be a better way of doing this. Found out about the box mods. Anyway, we decided that was too risky use of our student loan, so we instead decided to use it with a company called Bookie Bashers, where they basically bet against bookies using
like a
offers. Yeah,
match betting thing.
we thought that was a safer bet than drop shipping the vapes.
And how did that go?
Yeah, we doubled our money. So
Did you actually?
Yeah.
Ollie was like, Ollie just tells stories about being at uni and being like a grifter.
not grifting.
An
Unbelievable.
entrepreneur. All these stories at uni are like, here's how I made way more money than you'd expect. I'm like an 18 to 21-year-old.
you need money.
You do need money. Yeah, obviously. But most people get like, you had a job, and most people don't have the entrepreneurial spirit.
I had several jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, several jobs.
Good for you.
And now you're doing this.
Where did it all go fucking
You have
wrong?
fewer jobs now.
Well, yeah. Quite possibly, yeah.
I asked a teenager about this, about what he did. I was like, how easy was
Do you think the people listening know what we're talking about?
vaping?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
What were you talking about?
Nothing. No, you go ahead.
Oh, sorry, not
No,
that.
no,
No,
you go ahead,
no,
you go ahead,
okay.
you go ahead.
No,
Wait,
asked a
what?
teenager. Asked a teenager how easy was it for you to get vapes at school. He said all you had to do was walk to the corner shop next door to the school, take off your school tie, and be like, "Hello, one vape, please." And the guy was like, "Yeah, sure, grand." I think like even just the facade of this man or the person running the shop did not know that this person was wearing a school uniform, pretending,
It's so funny that like
And he was buying a chocolate milk as well.
counting out his pocket money.
yeah.
it's like the only thing that will identify me as a school child is the tie, not the school badge on the blazer that I'm also wearing.
Or visibly looking like a child as well.
There's that. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's dumb. Basically, I think it's a good way to quit smoking. I don't think you should be.
But that's not what it is. You can still quit smoking using that.
But these
It's the
flavors.
disposable bit that's.
But they're going after the flavors as well.
Yes, but also no like the thing about elf bars.
This is
and
less convenient than a disposable.
what's the elf bar
vape.
called? What Lost Mary. They're like also they look cool, as in like they're like accessories as well. As in they look attractive. That looks
Very
dreadful.
Y2K.
Extremely, yeah. And so like no teenager is going to be like, well, time to invest in fucking
Can
a
I
bit
just
of
demand?
metal.
Can I demand a little bit of intellectual honesty?
Mhm.
When I vape, I am routinely and fairly told that I look like a fucking loser.
Yeah.
You think the Lost Mary Elf Bar kids are cool?
No, I don't. Other children do.
Yeah,
Other
they have-
children
yeah,
think
they have
those
different
children are
standards for
sick.
cool.
Yeah, I don't think they're cool. They don't think I'm cool. We don't need to
Well,
think
how
each other
wrong?
cool.
How wrong they are? How wrong they are, Ed Campbell.
Also, I would like a bit of iron discipline from people to just not do anything, because I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. So all you need is just through sheer power of will,
All you need is 10 pints.
and you get the exact same thing.
Have you tried crippling alcoholism?
My lungs are fine. My brain is not. So all you need, children, is just a bit of iron discipline. There's a beautiful moment when people stop using peer pressure to try and get you to start from like 13 to about 19. People are like, just try. But then eventually they're like, maybe don't. And then they're on your side. And all it takes is just militant discipline.
You never had one drag?
No.
Not a single drag?
No.
What about?
Bring it in.
You've chained me to the chair.
Cuban!
You know that horrific way that they executed that prisoner?
With
yeah.
nitrogen gas.
That's me with a cigarette. That's what you're going to do to me.
What about Ed Campbell?
Yep.
A drug cigarette.
No.
This is what I'm about to say is quite cringe, but I promise it's pertinent to the conversation.
I've just done 15 minutes defending vaping, so I think you'll be
I mean,
okay.
we have different bars for shame. And so I used to do a bit, and I still stand by it, is the reason kids do smoke cigarettes is not because they want to smoke, it's because they want to look cool. So you need to give them the tools to say no that still make them look cool. So offer me a cigarette.
Olga, would you like a cigarette?
No, nicotine makes my dick too big. That's the kind of PSAs we need to be going into schools with.
You know what's really cool? Children talking about their genitals to other children.
Rishi Sunak's got this all wrong. We need a public information campaign about 15-year-old penises. What could go wrong? No, fair enough. I think if you have an excuse, it works.
I didn't have an excuse. Oh no, sorry.
I'm smoking later with your mom. Like, come on.
My mum doesn't let me.
So you're pro vaping ban?
Yeah. I don't think vaping's good for you.
I'm not saying it's good for you. I'm saying it's better for you than smoking. And
But the vaping is still available. It's the disposable.
Yes.
I just can't. How can you be behind selling disposable cell phones that are just being
Should they be more environmentally friendly than they are? Yes, absolutely. I think for environmental reasons, having like tiny little plastic things that people just throw away all the time, I think it's terrible. I think it's absolutely terrible. You're right. I think there is a slight.
maybe a recyclable paper solution that has maybe like plant leaves. In
Yeah.
it.
Yes, exactly. Like,
Tar as well.
like I wouldn't know anything about this, but those drug dealers who tell you that their gear is like fair trade and come from like organic sources, that's what you want with the
my
vape.
yogurt solution.
Yeah, exactly. They were paid a fair wage. The cows that produce the yogurt. What was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, sorry. I think smoking tobacco is quite literally one of the most dangerous public health issues. Kills tons of people.
And it makes your dick too big.
Yeah, and let me tell you, that is a problem. And we should do something about it. I think you should incentivize people to quit. I don't think the way to do it, by the way, is stopping people from smoking full stop. I think you should be allowed to kill yourself like that if you want to. I think it's like your God-given right as a freeborn Englishman. But I don't like it. I don't like it.
That's fair. I disagree. Because there are other smoking aids available.
Have you ever fucking done a nicotine patch? No, of course you haven't.
No.
Why would you have done that? Yeah.
I'm not. No.
No, I won't. No, I won't have a rollie. I've got my Nicorette.
Me standing in the smoking area, sleeveless shirt on.
Oh my god! But imagine if the vape companies go after nicotine patches and they make them like Elmo, like the novelty Band-Aids.
Mr. Bean.
Kids
limited
are
edition.
buying nicotine patches. It's got Paw Patrol on it.
Barbie. All over.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll never see eye to eye on this one.
Yeah, I think that's probably quite likely.
Should we move things on?
Something we do agree on. British homes for British families.
Thank God.
Oh, God.
Thank God. I'm so glad you raised it, Ed. Back to our common ground. You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Tell us about it. What's happening, Ed?
So Downing Street are going to unveil a plan prioritising social housing or spaces in social housing and giving it to British people as opposed to not British people. That's largely it.
About damn time.
About damn time.
Fucking amen, brother.
I don't know.
I'm not so sure about this one.
Don't love that.
I'm doing bad facial expressions, so I can.
Olga was shaking her head just for the listeners. Yeah, it seems there's two facets to this, isn't there? There's like the racist element of this, and also the impracticality of this. In terms of the vast majority of people who get social housing are British, so it actually doesn't really. There's no this isn't a problem, and this isn't the solution. But if you want to have more British homes for more British families anyway, just build some fucking houses. Equally, I think.
Yeah. He's done it in a sentence.
Have I eliminated
Yeah.
the rest of the conversation?
No, look, you're right. It's kind of like a red herring, because it's already incredibly difficult if you're not a UK citizen or have settled status. Like in fact, I think the subtext of this, right, he's talking about people on like small boats, right? He's talking about refugees, etc. They're not allowed to claim housing benefit. They're not allowed to live in social housing until their claim is processed. You know, they're literally, their access to benefits is restricted for time periods after arriving in the country. It's totally disingenuous to suggest that they could. And again, you're right to suggest that who is responsible for the housing crisis in Britain? The most vulnerable people.
Yeah.
who arrived yesterday on a dinghy. They're responsible. Yeah,
They've taken your house already.
Yeah.
It's pretty stagnant. It's also as well, I think it should be mentioned about like normalizing this sort of discourse and how much this kind of anti-immigration, anti-refugee rhetoric has become part of the political mainstream in the past decade, if that. It normalizes it, and it's not going to help the Tories out. It's going to help out the further right parties, because it's going to legitimise the stuff that the Conservatives would never say now sounds less atrocious, less abhorrent, because of it flatters them by comparison. Because you could get someone to stand up and saying, well, we should just shoot them all, and that sounds less abhorrent because of the rhetoric like this that the Conservatives are bringing into the political mainstream.
That's one of the things, isn't it, with this quite ugly rhetoric, is that you can never be racist enough to feed that dragon. Like it will always consume you in the end. If you play to those nativist tendencies, there eventually comes a point where you will know you will reach your red line faster than the racists will. You will never be able to fully appease them, to fully make them happy. And if you just play that game, rather than putting forward a vision, like a positive vision, an alternative vision for Britain, one in which, let's say, there are hundreds of thousands of houses being built every year, or to reject and actually dismantle the false dichotomy between it's you or me, buddy. Only one of us gets a house, you know. And if you don't put your hand up and do the brave thing of saying, how about both of you get a house? If you don't do that, then you sort of fall into this populist right nativist. Well, actually, I think you could probably call this ethno-nationalist, right? This fucking it's like British jobs for British people, local jobs for local people.
It's a nonsensical. Like, it doesn't change anything. Nothing is being changed. It's just a sort of gimmicky name.
Yeah.
Because and then I'm not super informed on this, but I volunteer with an incredible organization called the Islington Center for Refugees and Migrants. And then, honestly, spending one day there, you realize what asylum seekers have to go through. And at no point are there systems like encroaching on the housing systems for British people. So this is like they're happening in parallel. So this idea that they're like competing for the same housing is bizarre and untrue. But also the standards for living for asylum seekers that are so much lower. They are horrific. Like people are forced to live in like hotel rooms that are covered in black mold. Like it is awful. And so any narrative that sort of reinforces the stereotype that it's somehow like easy and freeloading to be a refugee or an asylum seeker, it is so upsetting. Sorry, I don't have a punchline.
No, that's great. Can you tell us more about what some of those circumstances or people? Obviously, you don't have to like fucking dox the people that you've worked with, but like, could you tell? You mentioned that parallel world. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
So I guess, and again, I'm just a volunteer. I have no legal background, and I don't want to like name things or programs. But basically, you arrive. You can wait up to a year once you arrive to just get the interview, and in that time, up to that year, you're not allowed to work. So like this idea that maybe you're lazy or don't want to work, that's that is just false because it is illegal for you to work. And then after a year, you might get that interview, and then you can wait up to a year for a decision on that interview. So that's 2 years where you don't have like legal status or anything, and that in itself is nerve-wracking. And you're living in like a hotel room that is designated to you by a governmental organization that truly doesn't give a shit about you. And like any living standards that are around it, it's extremely difficult for you to seek like legal action or like sort of prove your rights to like good housing, because a lot of the time maybe you don't speak the language, or you don't have access to lawyers, or those lawyers cost money, and there's very few that do it pro bono, or maybe like 4 hours a week once a week. So it's an incredibly difficult Kafka-esque maze to navigate. And again, it's like whenever you read something like this, it is just so upsetting for them to be portrayed as people who are freeloading. Sorry, this is really, really dark. But
No. It's really interesting.
and also and then I am myself as I'm an immigrant and I am a British person, but like whenever you read stuff like that, it's like once they do go through the system and they get refugee status, or they get a leave to remain, or they get a British passport, then they are in the same system competing for British housing, but they become British people, right? And so it's either they're not competing for the same thing, or once they are British people, so they are entitled to those homes, right?
I'm going to suggest that when Rishi Sunak says British workers, he may not mean all British workers.
What?
That's it, isn't
Could
it?
you be more specific?
Oh, old boy, I think you know.
Is it the same?
You
way,
know damn well what I mean.
the same way with when I interviewed the far right people on Remembrance Day, they kept talking about we are here, the English.
Yeah.
Are here. It's a substitute word for white people. I said it.
Yeah, I think that it's not quite dog whistle, right? Because
It's way more blatant. I think.
do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it's dog whistle. I think
Because
it's,
I think as
what's a
a
substitute for a dog whistle? A foghorn.
explicitly racist.
Yeah.
No, I don't. When you say like British homes for British people, I think, and there are people, and I'm not going to name names, but there are people in the national media who have made a talking point of this recently, talking about immigration and the proportion of people in London, for example, who live in social housing, and essentially willfully misinterpreting white British as being the figure that actually is British, and like the other ethnic derivations of, let's say, Black British, Asian British, not including those when talking about the proportion of British people that own social housing and live in social housing in London, for example. And it's this idea that basically, unless you're white, you can't be British, which is obviously morally problematic, shall we say, at a minimum? shall we say intellectually incoherent?
Yep.
I don't know. It's like, I don't think you have to be a genius to see that. Or maybe that's the point. Maybe that's because the people that you're catering to with a political message like that, you really are catering to people who are like, yeah, only white people are British.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just it's so blatant now. There's no problem to be fixed. That's also what underlines this. It's like there's a housing crisis. Yeah, that's almost a separate issue to this. As it's not like people who aren't British born do not dominate the social housing thing. So this changes nothing because this isn't a remedy because there's nothing to be fixed. If that makes sense.
By talking about it like this, he makes it sound like there's a bounty of British homes that are able to be handed out, and that the order in which they're handed out is wrong. I think you should cross out the British bit on both sides, and it should just be homes for workers. That would be a totally adequate political
Too
position.
socialist.
Bloody socialism.
Yes.
Yes, sorry, you forgot to introduce the ethno-nationalist part to this policy, Ed. We'll never do that.
But also, workers is a loaded word to use as well, isn't it? It's not people, it's workers.
Yeah.
Those bloody freeloaders.
Awful.
Yeah, God. I think tell you what, I've had it up to here with this government. I think they might be a nasty bunch.
I'm this close to starting a podcast. Okay.
Yeah, I think we've nailed that. Any other things you'd like to mention or reference? Any other topics of discussion, Edward, Olga? Anything you want to talk about?
Always on tour.
I'm on me.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Thanks so much for bringing it up.
Yeah.
I'm doing a show called Prawn Cocktail all over the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand.
fucking international.
Yeah. And I did
Olga was
India.
just in India this weekend.
What the fuck? I thought you said you were in Edinburgh.
Yeah, I was in
Sorry,
Edinburgh.
last week was
Yeah.
India. Excuse me.
I came back on
No,
Thursday.
Edinburgh, India. That's a
India?
place, yes. What was gigging in India like?
Incredible. It's been my second time. It's so much fun. It's
Mm.
so much fun. The scene there is really, really cool. And it's really cool to watch comics because they all speak like at least 3 languages. So you'll see someone switch languages like halfway through a set and do like a punchline in a different language. It's so, so cool.
That's sick.
It's the coolest thing.
Where's
ever.
your favourite? Because you've toured Scandinavia and stuff as well.
Yes.
Where's your favourite country other than the UK to tour?
I'd say India. India might be
Really?
number 1. India and then New Zealand. Those
Yeah,
are the
New
big
Zealand's
2,
sick.
I'd say. Because I think India's really, really fun. Just because I feel like the scene is really young and vibrant, and they're all like really excited about it, so you could feel it like in the acts. There's no like jadedness the way that you walk into a green room in London and people are like,
Yeah,
sorry,
10 pounds.
Yeah.
disposable days. And then in New Zealand, I think because there's so much arts funding, and because the most famous comedians from New Zealand, like Flight of Conchords and Rose Matafeo, they're quite alt and quite weird. Everyone, just the general public, is on board with weird. Like alt is the default, so that's really, really fun.
I love Kiwi comedy.
You do, Guy Montgomery fan.
Guy Montgomery, big
Oh my god.
Tim Bat,
Is the film Black Sheep? Is that one?
Black Sheep.
It's
I don't
like
know.
a horror film about sheep.
Where's this come from?
It's like an indie. I think it was like, fuck, I can't remember. What it, I won't do it now.
What was it? Is it a New Zealand film?
Yeah, I think it was like an indie house, New Zealand. I think it was part horror, part. It was like black comedy.
Got you.
Whereas
Megan was made there as well.
Really?
Yeah. I think New Zealand director and New Zealand writer. I'm pretty sure.
Lord of the Rings.
Never heard of it.
Never.
I was too busy having sex. I'm so sorry.
You can't have been that old.
We
were Lord of the Rings.
we were smoking, we were having sex, not with each other, with different people. We were having sex. We
You
had
can't have sex. What are you having sex for 3 hours, Olga? Yeah, sure.
So you're thinking
for
cigarette breaks.
director's cut. 4, baby.
I don't know if the director is cut. I'm so sorry.
Drop in the comments what you think Peter Jackson's
What
penis looks like.
Peter Jackson's not.
What we're going for.
Send us your sketches. Draw it. Yeah.
We should open up a PO box and have like a Blue Peter drawing section, and you'll get a PoliticsJOE badge if you send us. Only if you do this, a drawing of Peter Jackson's penis, nothing else.
Fuck. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Ed Campbell, a pleasure.
Pleasure to be here.
God bless you. I love you.
God bless you.
Olga,
Love you.
I've enjoyed having you on so much.
Oh my god, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. Thank
been
you.
great.
And I'm
You're
sorry
very
I was late. Now it's on record. I'm really, really sorry.
We weren't going to acknowledge that to the audience.
Cool.
Sick.
See you on the next one, guys.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.